I didn't expect to be first, sorry. Just having a nice little chat. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ray Walker and I am deaf. In the last 10 years of my life, have completely changed. The theme is change. 10 years ago, in a previous life, I was hearing. I was a very successful hearing science and mathematics teacher. In a career spanning 25 years, I started my educational career teaching science and mathematics to hearing children and students in public and private schools in the city, country and the remote northwest communities. And like most young adults, I enjoyed socialising, listening to music, and I played classical guitar. In 2000, whilst I was working in the Kimberley, I got very ill. For 5 days I had a very high temperature. And when I recovered, I felt like I had water trapped in my ears. I went to a doctor who sent me to an audiologist and who sent me to an ENT. And that ENT specialist told me I had a mild, moderate and permanent hearing loss in both ears. Now this was shocking, but it wasn't devastating. I was given hearing aids which gave me back the hearing that I felt I had lost. I could still listen to music, I could still socialise in noisy environments, and I could still play classical guitar. After my children were born, I moved from teaching in high schools to teaching in tertiary institutions. I began lecturing physics and mathematics at Murdoch University, and then moved to Notre Dame School of Education, where I lectured and tutored science education to primary and secondary school teachers. In the final year of lecturing at Notre Dame, I had a rapid hearing loss. I became severely, profoundly deaf, unable to continue teaching. So in 2010, at the age of 45, with 2 children, I found myself deaf, unemployed, very socially isolated and unable to communicate. I could speak, but I couldn't hear. It was a very low point in my life. I lost my identity as a teacher and a lecturer, and in my own mind I became a non-entity. I was very depressed. I felt deaf and useless for about 3 years. However, in the words of Paulo Coelho, he wrote a book apparently, when we least expect it, life sets us a challenge to test our courage and willingness to change. At such a moment, there is no point in pretending that nothing has happened or in saying that we are not yet ready. The challenge will not wait. Life does not look back. So I looked forward. I made 2 choices that were life-changing. The first was I was implanted. I got a cochlear implant in late 2013. The joy I felt when I heard the letter S for the first time in 7 years was overwhelming. I went and bought a book that talked about 7 snakes slithering across the grass and read it to my poor son about 8 times. A few months later, I enrolled at Central TAFE and started a Diploma of Auslan. I thought maybe if I could learn Auslan, I could teach deaf children mathematics and science. At the time, it was a bit of a pipe dream, but I thought at least doing the TAFE course would keep me occupied for a couple of years. The deaf lecturers at TAFE told the principal at Shenton College Deaf Education Centre that they had an experienced mathematics science teacher who was deaf and learning Auslan. Leanne Potter contacted me and offered me a part-time job, 1 day a week, supporting math and science students there. I couldn't believe my luck. I'd had 3 years of doing nothing and now I had a job again. 2016, I graduated with my Diploma of Auslan and started working full-time at Shenton College Deaf Education Centre. How I teach has totally changed. I don't teach hearing students, I teach deaf and hard of hearing students. I match my language to suit their preferred language. If they want me to sign, I will sign. If they want me to speak, I will speak. If they want me to do both, I will do both, as do all the other teachers of the deaf that are working at Shenton College Deaf Ed. My lessons are scaffolded completely differently to suit the more visual learning style of our deaf and hard of hearing students. Where I taught big classes of hearing students, now I offer specialist academic support to smaller groups of deaf and hard of hearing students, or I work in class with mainstream teachers and deaf students, or I work one-on-one to give specialist tuition to our very clever students. It is a privilege to work at Shenton College Deaf Education Centre, which is co-located on the same site as Shenton College. It has a national reputation as a leading school in deaf education, and rightly so. In addition to the teachers of the deaf, we have interpreting and note-taking staff, plus a school chaplain and our own psychologist. All signing students receive Auslan interpreting support. Both deaf and hard of hearing students receive note-taking support in their mainstream classes. Auslan is offered as a LOTE to both deaf and hard of hearing students and the hearing students of the big Shenton College. And it's offered as a LOTE from Year 7. It is now as a recognised ATAR subject in Year 11 and 12. Year 12 students passing Auslan receive a Cert 4. Now, a Cert 4 combined with a pass in English is the minimum direct entry into university. So this year we have Year 12s that are doing Auslan. If they pass Auslan and pass English, they can go to university. They don't have to get an ATAR score of 60 or 70. All visual material is captioned by Shenton College Deaf Education Captioning Centre, which supports not only our students but the students of Shenton College. Shenton Deaf Ed is an incredibly progressive and supportive school. Our staff are constantly making changes to meet the ever-changing needs of our deaf and hard of students and their families. In response to recent concerns about students not being able to make it to their Australian Hearing audiological appointments, we made contact with Australian Hearing, and we now have on-site clinics twice a year. The students come to their appointments at school. To promote student wellbeing and to make sure there was more inclusion of our deaf and hard of hearing students, who normally are the only student in their classroom that is deaf or hard of hearing, we've started deaf assemblies and we have a lunch club. The students meet each other constantly. 10 years ago I was deaf with a lowercase d and I felt very useless. This has completely changed. Now I am deaf with big D, and I'm very busy teaching again and advocating for deaf and hard of hearing students. Some changes look negative on the surface, but you will soon realise that space is being created in your life for something new to emerge. Thank you.